Hello, 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 hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
Awesome.
Oh, awesomeness today. Hey, not just okay. Hey, what's good? Hey, what's good? Hey, what's happened? Hey,
Had my
something's
medicine.
happened. Something's happened. Okay.
No. Just had my medicine. That's all.
Hey, I think it's got something to do with the relic, the old man relic.
Look at that background. It's in motion.
Yeah. So I enjoyed your relic thought for the day. Okay.
Yeah, I put another one up just a little while ago. So,
I saw that come up. Yeah. So, did you have some more thought about where you come from?
oh yeah, I was just talking about remembering.
Okay.
There's a few more dimensions to the past than I sort of realised when I started thinking about it. So, but anyway, the past. So, what's exciting in your world?
Yeah. Not a lot. What's my
So we're near that big bushfire that was raging over there, or is that?
Yeah. There's another one now. That's not, that one isn't near us. That's in the north, sort of northeast. It's still in Perth, but not. But now we've got another one that's just started up today, just south of us. Yeah, but also not too close, but certainly within reach of the fire.
Must be very dry over there at the moment, is it?
Oh, you can't believe it. You can't believe how dry it is. And we very, very seldom get rain in the summertime. You know, we do, but it just comes and goes so quickly. And I see from your car videos that you seem to be having rain every day, just about.
Oh, I just light showers in the morning more than anything, but it's not filling dams or anything like that. So
Okay.
Yeah, it's very strange weather at the moment. It's hard to. I don't know if there is such a thing as typical summer weather anymore. You know, so.
Yeah, we've. She was telling me a moment ago that there are floods up northwest, you know, where the cyclone hit and so on. So now there's flooding. Fires down here, drought where I am, you know. But it's.
I assume you've got a similar weather pattern to Queensland, where you get the cyclones up north generally, and then they turn into rain depressions and head south, sort of thing. You know. So.
Yeah.
But you don't get cyclones near Perth, I don't think, do you?
No, you don't. Sometimes they move down once they've hit landfall up north, and then we occasionally then would get sort of the outskirts of one. So, but not the real McCoy. No.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, what's on your mind tonight?
Yeah. What's on your mind tonight?
In a couple of those videos I've mentioned in the past about, this headless way, as it's called.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to one of his audio books. The guy himself, Douglas Harding, he's passed away, I don't know, about 5 or maybe 10 years ago. But he had a guy that he was mentoring who sort of picked it up. And he's basically just recycling a lot of the research and so on that was done by Douglas.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to this audio book in the car in the morning. You know, after I do my video, I just put this audio book on and listen to it. And oh, gee, I found it like really, sometimes when you read something and like the truth of it just resonates profoundly within you,
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you've
know
had that
exactly what
experience.
you mean. Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, it's just been, I've been fascinated with his research because I think he's got a very similar research style to you, actually. But anyway, he would research and then he'd go back into all these different traditions and like Christianity and Zen and Buddhism and Islam and all that sort of stuff, and just look at some of the ancient scriptures and the terms that were in there, and how, and I suppose you have to be careful because I suppose you could make it engineer anything to look like anything if you wanted to, I guess, but it's really how simple things, you know, statements that he had researched and say, well, look, you know, like when Christ was talking about, you know, I can't even remember the term now, but like you sort of quote a, you know, a line of scripture. Said, well, when he was talking about this, it was basically saying, you know, seeing things as they are, and the way you see things as they are is to drop yourself out of the picture, sort of thing. So you just sort of 100% open to whatever's in front of you, and to drop yourself out of it. So, and like a big part of the whole thing is this headless way, is that, you know, the proposition is that, well, you know, we don't have a head, you know, like I can see you and your physical features and so on, but I've never seen my face directly. I've seen reflections, I've seen photographs, I've seen all this stuff.
Yeah.
And he sort of steps through this series of sort of experiments just to sort of prove it up. He says, like, you don't look out of like two little portholes. You basically, vision is just a single eye, you know. And so when you find yourself in the position of, you know, dropping yourself and just being 100% present to everything that's in front of you, then, you know, you are then looking from a divine place into what's out in front of you. You know? So when you think about it, like, you know, if you were looking outside it, looking from your head, you know, presumably there'd be boundaries and limitations and things like that. Well, there's not, you know, that when you look, there is no boundaries, no limitations. You know?
Yeah.
And he also encourages you to challenge your traditional conditioning about how you look at things, because he says, like, you know, your five senses are conditioned for an outward bound experience. And therefore, like, for example, I talked about a little bit today, like when you're driving, actually, when you really think about it, is that you're stationary and everything's just going past you. You know, so, and it's true, you know, like it's true, because, and even when you're sort of walking in that, whilst you have the sensation like of the physical movement, but if you just look at it from a seeing perspective, the scenery just moves past you, not you past it. You know, so it's actually quite profound, you know, it's really quite profound. The more you dig in it, because the thing is as he encourages you, he says, so our senses encourage us to look outwards, but we're very much not conditioned to look inwards, because our senses are all outbound, you know. But when you do look inwards, and look is a sort of a subjective word, I guess, because you're not looking with your physical eyes in that sense. But when you do look inwards, you know, there's a whole range of other dimensions just open up before you. And so there's a lot of like sayings, you know, particularly through Buddhism and Eastern philosophy and stuff like that, is that, you know, it's the closest thing to you. So if you're looking inward, there are no boundaries. So you can look at your very core and find that your very core is the closest thing to you. You know, so closer than your nose and closer than your breath, and, you know, so, and as you sort of ponder on some of those ideas, it's actually, it's like really profound. Just like, oh, it is. And part of what I talked about today was remembering. So I don't know about you, but like, you know, my very earliest memories, and I'm only guessing as to how old I was, but I'm thinking probably 2 or 3 years of age or something like that. And your very, very earliest memories, you know, that from what I can recall and the sensations and so on, it was just this sort of complete openness.
Complete what?
Complete openness,
Okay.
you know, so and everything was just curious, but there was just acceptance of what it was, you know.
Mm.
And it's only over time that, you know, you become conditioned, okay, well, your name is, and you're a boy, and you're this, and you're that, you know, all of these sort of limitations and boundaries start to get put around you, whereas your starting point is limitlessness, you know.
Yeah.
So, and so as the full circle comes around and you start dropping a lot of that stuff away and seeing things as they are, it's not a matter of going back to where you started from. It's because basically, you know, we talk about growing up. It's not about growing up, it's about growing in.
Mm. Mm.
You know, so
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. It's sort of really pulling a lot of ideas and thoughts and that together in a really coherent way. So, and it's, as I say, it's one of those profound things, because I'll be driving along and just listening to something. Oh wow, you know, like really sort of
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
Mm.
And it's been a while since I've read, you know, I say read, you know, it's like an audio book, but it's been a while since I've read things that have had that effect on me, you know. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
really enjoying it.
Interesting. Interesting. And what do you feel the benefit is, or the purpose maybe is a better word than benefit? What is the purpose of having that aha moment and the knowledge of the going inwards? Um, do you feel that there's a purpose to that? How does that going to affect you as you move forward in your
Yeah, well, I guess one of the paradoxes has been, you know, like you and I have even talked about it in the sense that, you know, we've often talked about, okay, well, what do we need to do to, you know, help, you know, with the change process within, you know, consumerism and waking up and increasing awareness and stuff like that. And I guess as I've pondered over that, because I think about these big problems or huge opportunities that we pose, but the challenge with a lot of that thinking is it's all out there. What are we going to do out there to change that? Whereas I think in recent months, you know, the wind has changed direction a bit for me. It's like, yes, those are really important things to do out there, but I need to do it from within here. And I feel that there's just been that stronger call too, to, you know, if I don't like what I'm seeing out there, then the starting point for change is here. So it's really been challenging myself about, okay, well, if you don't like what you see there, like with consumerism or stupid stuff that's going on in the community and that, what do you need to do? And I don't mean out there, what do you need to do in here?
Yeah.
So, and that's been a really big part of the personal reorientation and challenge and re-engineering, if that's the right terminology.
Yeah.
With, you know, with what I'm doing, yeah. And I'm finding that as I make progress down that path, you know, I've become a lot more relaxed and a lot more at ease, and things just start to flow. And that serendipity that you've been experiencing this year in particular, seems to just happen. Just things just pop up, and it's just like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. You know.
Right, right. Fantastic.
And listening to the intuition too, if that's the right terminology. You know, it's sort of that inner voice.
Yeah.
That it's easy to ignore it, but sometimes it's just like, no, just stop and just listen for a moment, and you know, this is what you need to do. You know, and I know you've had that experience with Get Set Up, and you know, that interview that you did the other day, and all those sort of things. It's just no, just stop and just listen for a moment,
Right.
and you know,
Yeah.
things will show up for you. You know, so
Mm.
which is sort of counterintuitive to all of your and my training, because through the business environment, it's all about, no, you've got to create it, you've got to make things happen, and you.
Yeah.
Where this
Got
is
to
the opposite.
manifest.
Whereas this is the opposite. It's just like, no, get yourself back into
Yeah.
the right place and listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
It's like 180 degrees for what maybe we were thinking about a few years ago.
and it's one of those sort of never-ending paradoxes, isn't it? You know.
Mm.
You know. So you don't like that. So what are you going to do? Nothing.
Yes.
Urgently.
Yeah.
I'm going to do nothing urgently. My number one priority. You know?
Yeah, to do nothing. Consciously and authentically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So it's been good. It's been very good.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the other thing, you know, which has sort of always been one of my weaknesses a bit too, is that it's good to sort of, you know, and I'm really enjoying this sort of, it's only probably 20 minutes or so in the car by the time I finish my video, but just enjoying that time, just listening to someone, you know, sort of providing, it's not so much a teaching, but just providing some sort of guidance and insights based on a lifetime of research, you know, and
Right.
experiential research, you know. So it's just like, you'd be mad not to listen to it, you know. Well, that's the language to myself, you know. So
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, you know, in particular, it'd always be, oh, I've got to figure this out for myself.
Yeah.
You know, which I guess is a very male thing, you know. You know, some people I know, it's like, oh, you know, and it could be something silly like you're in a store or something, you go, I wonder where this is. And it's like, oh, I'll figure it out. You know, with other people, it's like, I'm just going to ask someone.
Yes. Yeah. A good example.
Yeah. So no, it's good. It's a good time. It's a very good time. Yeah. And I just sort of find or feel that there's just a whole range of sort of perhaps unseen benefits which are sort of coming from it, just in terms of, you know, like with my furniture and, you know, just other things that I do. It just seems to put a lot more wind behind the sails of some of that stuff without effort.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Lovely experience, then.
It is. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of that, you know, that aurora going on behind you. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that in real life? Like,
no, I haven't. My brother went to go and try and see it, I think, a few years ago, and also wasn't successful. Yeah.
They tell me that, you know, from time to time you can see it, the southern version of it from Tasmania.
Oh. Wow. Okay, that would be interesting.
I think they call it the Australis borealis or something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. You know, when I turned on the Zoom now, I thought, oh no, not that seaside scene again, and I just clicked on the one next to it. It was this one. So,
good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
it's a visual expression of, or a visual representation of spirit in action in some respects, isn't it? You know? So,
Yeah, or a loose mind.
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. So what's been on your mind? Anything exciting at all, or just busying yourself with your get set up?
Yeah, largely that, sure, but it's also, and you know, what does one do about the past? And you were really talking directly to me now in this conversation about that when you spoke earlier, and I think, you know, I've been asking myself just a few moments ago when I was having tea with Sue, you know, I've got all the stuff from the past, like this alternative health, and I've got thousands of people getting emails every week that I've written for years, and then new people starting at the bottom of those emails, because that's the way it works. You start with your number 1 and you go up to email number 52, and you've been through a year. And I'm thinking, you know, what do I want to do, okay, with regards to that, okay? And I still don't know, you know, why I did the interview. But I did it because it came up, and I guess it's still going to be seen why I did it. But and the handful of people, or a few hundred or whatever, that, you know, downloaded my ebook, that's nice. Okay, I've written this ebook, and it's far more in line of where I'm thinking now, the ebook, than where I was, let's say, 18 months ago, and certainly 2 years ago when I published my book. And I think, but now, where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? You know, I've got this presence all over social media, talking about painful legs, okay, and all of that painful legs. And I don't have painful legs, and I haven't had painful legs for a long time. I've resolved the issue, and found the chemicals needed to build my bones and my joints again, and clearly, because I haven't had pain, something's working, okay, and so, you know, I can't be certain, because it's my own personal journey, that it could help anybody else, okay, because we all are individuals, totally, and you know, and we can't even break ourselves into categories like people do with blood types or body types and those sort of things. So, you know, it's a very, and I was thinking when you were talking about your headless just now, you know, if somebody has researched and written some things, and then he died a few years ago, somebody else has picked it up and now is talking about it, or busy distributing that dead person's voice around. And that's how I feel about my stuff, okay? I don't want somebody else to pick it up, okay? You know, it was absolutely right at that moment, at that point in time. And now something else has come up, and you go with the flow. But you know, the past flow, I feel if you try and pick up those waves, or pick up that flow, the new flow will intermingle with that, and will just flatten out. Okay, like two waves, you know, a wave and the valley meeting together, and they cancel each other out. So I've been thinking
depends on the direction of the waves, doesn't it? I mean, if the waves are following each other, they can merge into one and make a huge wave.
Make a huge wave, yes. And that certainly is something that's been under thought. You know, Get Set Up don't want me to do alternative health, okay? They say it's too controversial, and that's not their purpose, okay? But they're employing full-time people like it's going out of fashion at the moment, okay? And you know, these new people who are not sort of, I don't know, I'm guessing just looking at their pictures and so on, you know, they're probably sort of around 35, 40 years old, so they're much, much younger than so, you know, maybe that will change, and maybe the time will change, and then, you know, it'll slot in, and I'll continue then, you know, with the alternative health and so on. But that's what's on my mind very strongly today is that, and the answer is obvious. Okay, you know, don't force anything. You know, just leave it. Just leave it. Okay, it's all sort of mechanical. I've had problems with my website. I told you that when we spoke on Sunday. And I asked somebody to fix it for me, and they came back to me a few moments ago and said, you know, it's going to cost you too much. I think you get somebody else. Okay, and I thought, okay, that's a really weird reply, but I guess sort of people you know, or who, you know, perhaps were friends or something, would say that. I don't know, but that's, and I thought, okay, now my website, I can't get into my website. I can't get into change anything in my website. It's still working, so somebody coming to the website can still see and do everything. And the links I've got from my emails, they're still working largely. Yeah, some, not all of them, but largely. So, you know, that could continue turning over. But do I now go and find somebody for a few $100s to actually dig into my website and give me back my website? Or do I just leave it? Do I just leave it?
Did they give you any insight as to what the issue was, or did they just say they don't know at this stage?
Well, the person I'm not sure about, you know, because of who he is, and I've known him for a long, long time. You know, he makes excuses and things, and I don't know whether he's actually looked at it. He said, you know, my guy has taken out some faulty files. Okay, I said, oh, well, that's great. While you're on the line, let me just go in now. But I still can't get in. That was the outcome of the problem why I phoned him to start with. I couldn't get into my WordPress, and he said, you know, well, he obviously hasn't fixed the problem. You know, go and find somebody else. And
well, how did he get in if you can't get in?
That's the point, you see. It was somebody else. It wasn't him. It was, you know, he knew somebody who was working for him on his website, so he asked this guy to have a look at it and so on. And you know, whether he did or didn't look at it, I don't know. So it's irrelevant. It still doesn't work. So so that throws into the mixture now. You know, that doesn't work. And over the weekend, you know, I couldn't get into my I just call it Majestic, but it's my email. You know, like you know, it sends out all the emails and things, and it wouldn't send out an email. I couldn't activate an email, and then I found it was a Google Chrome problem. But I found that out 4 days later. Okay, because somebody suggested it actually. That's right. So now that's working again. So maybe the website will. So those are the things that are on my mind at the moment. Very unspiritual, but it's, I guess, you know, do you leave something that's broken and allow people to continue going and accessing it, or do you repair it, or do you kill it? You know, put it out of its pain. You know? I don't know.
Perennial question, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's occupying my mind now as I move forward. I really, you know, I enjoy the Get Set Up, and I enjoy the classes, and you know, I did 3 classes today. Was finished the 3 by 12 o'clock, and it's, you know, now they've also decided to employ a lot of people. Clearly, to me it's obvious, but they don't say this, for a sort of a world expansion, I guess, okay, or certainly an expansion. And they've only been going a year in America, and apparently they've done very well there. And but now they see I think there's an absolute market with all this coronavirus lockdowns and everywhere. Everybody's at home, and particularly people over 50. Okay, they're the people that want to learn something, maybe want to start a job from home, maybe want to communicate with their family with the thing, and now all of a sudden they've got the opportunity to learn, and they never bothered about it before then because it was the youngsters' domain, but now it's not, it's their domain. So it's very appropriate. The market is very much there. And
and what better way to learn for that segment than virtually peer-to-peer learning,
Yeah, they actually got it. There's a little thing on their website say seniors teaching seniors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And and they say, senior teachers have the patience and the maturity to explain it in a way that another senior would be able to understand, and to be able to ask questions, whereas youngsters would intimidate the old people. Okay. Yeah. So
and use a lot of jargon, which might be part of their mainstream language, whereas others like to use plain English.
And also because half of the class is encouraged to be social rather than content. And so, a youngster is not going to be able to socialize with somebody that's 80 years old, No, they definitely, and it's also the way they came up with the concept was by chance, It was just the way circumstances, somebody's father wants something here, and all of a sudden, the idea struck him because his father wanted an Apple iWatch, So, who the hell's going to teach him, Yeah.
Well, that was always the running joke, wasn't it? Go and get one of the grandkids to show you how to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then they don't have the patience, and and then you feel embarrassed, and you'll end up not learning, and it's like
it's funny, isn't it? I was talking to a guy on the phone. I might have already told you this. I was talking to a guy on the phone the other day, and I said to him, are you online? And he said, no, the only line that I've got is the clothesline in the backyard.
Yeah, that's right. All old people say those sort of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's definitely, I think in both our lives, there's clearly a new road, a new direction of doing nothing. And and I really think that's the basis of it. Okay, and
doing nothing and being incredibly busy.
Well, you will be busy because it will bring things to you, okay, and to do. I mean, you still do, but you don't think about and plan to do, okay.
So within the context of your website, the issue there, I mean, what forgetting about the how-to, but what would your preference be? Just for it to be back working again, or do you think it's time for a change, or what's your sense of that?
Well, my wife asked me the same question, and you see, my character from the past, you spoke about the past again in this conversation. The past would be, I always consciously and boasted about it. When I move forward in a new direction, I burn my bridges, okay? Because I don't want to go back over that bridge again if things don't work out. So I've got my back against the wall, and then I work like hell. So all very different to now. And so my inclination, to answer your question, would say, just kill the website, okay? And as a compromise, maybe keep all the content, all the articles and emails and things, wrap them up, and if they come up and get set up or something similar, then I'll do it again. Okay, or maybe come up with alternative life, when that comes to fruition, and maybe then I go back to that. But would it be going back, or would we need to be going forward? So that's it, and this is definitely all part of the learning curve. I think for both of us, because we've gone on this road. A couple of little decisions that you and I took, say let's do this. For example, like the 5-minute videos, in order to get our thoughts straight, get a feeling, so that we can get clear when we start our own business. Maybe this is the route to go, would be 5-minute videos as opposed to a printed magazine. Okay. And maybe 5-minute conversations with individuals. Okay. And the bell goes tring, 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 tring after 5 minutes, you see. And so you, instead of having hour classes like Get Set Up, you have 5 or 10 minute interviews. Based on the same thing. It can be any topic, learning a topic, or learning a skill, or sharing information, or like this guy told you on Sunday that got from this United States interview that I did. He's in Toronto in Canada, and he just wants me to tell him about his diabetes. Okay, he's not interested in everyone else. So he Skyped me, and I had a conversation with him, and he said, I've never had anybody talk to me like that. Not rudely, but he said, you just tell it as you did it, okay? And then he went away, and the next morning he sent me an email, and he said, I sort of ate yesterday, and I had quite a lot of carbs, and I went on a 4-kilometer jog. He's 75 years old, and came back, took my blood, and it was high. Okay, now what's your comment? He says to me. Okay, so I wrote back. I said, you must eat for your total health, not for your diabetes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You've got 14 systems that you need to keep healthy, and they all integrate, they all work together. You isolating one and you judging yourself on that one. I sent off the email. He came back and said, mind blowing. I've never had anybody talk to me like that. So, I don't know. So maybe we've got a business, doing these short videos. Maybe.
Well, I think so too. I mean, just as you were talking, I was sort of thinking, yes, the short videos are important, but if we did an interview like you and I talking for an hour now, you could structure it in such a way that it's almost like, okay, like if you use the old TV terminology, it's like, oh, it was time for an ad break. Well, the ad break happens in 5 minutes time. There's your 5-minute video, part 1, part 2, part 3, however many parts you need.
Yeah.
Because it just breaks it up. But in terms of the production of it, well, you've got the hour worth of content there that you've navigated through, So maybe that. The other thing too, which I guess is exercising my mind too a little bit, based on what we've been talking about, is I do still see a lot of value in books, and maybe that sort of podcast idea, like having that 1 hour long conversation. How you present it's up to you how you do it, but because there's still a lot of value in the deep dive, and I think that's what in the deep dive.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the challenges in the age in which we live. It's like, just give me the headlines, No, we need to go and explore this in a bit of detail. You know, we need to unpack this. You know, we need to.
Why not? But why? But why? You know, because if we, okay, I'm being a bit of the devil's advocate, all right? But you want to, I understand I'm saying that the headlines, or not quite the headlines, okay, but 5 minutes of whatever it is, audio or video, preferably video, will either resonate with the person or will not resonate with them, okay? And I can't stand listening for something for an hour and then get pissed off because really it's not what I expected, okay?
But in one sense, that's going to be the style thing. And I guess what I'm saying, though, is the research that you do, because you are an excellent researcher, to put together, you know, whether it's an interview or whatever you want to call it, a conversation or whatever, you know, you literally do hours and hours and hours of research, and then you use that research, you know, whether it's through, you know, alternative health, or like, you know, just to use the example with your Canadian friend, you know, you can make that statement, that succinct statement, but it's probably taken you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of research to put you in a position where you can actually do that, you know. So
yeah, sure. Sure. But what's your point?
My point is don't stop researching.
Yeah, I won't, okay, because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm researching even now for Get Set Up in a more fundamental way. But I know it'll move on, and I'll be given or allowed to do more and more things. So I'm relying on from fundamental type stuff.
And I think because you've done that and you are doing that, it makes your impact quite profound compared to a lot of the other nonsense you look on social media, and it's just people haven't even thought about it. They're just vomiting out this bile or this diarrhea that just flows out of them, and it's meaningless. Most of it is just all, hey, look at me, you know. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, and they've picked it up from whoever, and you know, they haven't added any sort of value like personal experience or, you know.
No, not at all. I mean, like, and you know, and I'm not saying you've done this, but like that Canadian guy, you know, oh, no one's ever spoken to me like that before. No, because it cuts to the truth. But some other, you know, village idiot over here will say, oh, you just talk to people really abruptly and that's entertaining. It's not about entertainment. It's about getting to the point.
That's right.
So don't start, you know, just sort of, you know, shouting at people, you know, like that, like a Gordon Ramsay type approach, you know, like, you know, oh, here's my opportunity to start swearing like a, you know, an Outback shearer in the kitchen. Oh, like, so what? You know, like, what's your point?
But if you now say to somebody, let's say in our business, okay, right, you can have a 5-minute Zoom meeting with, let's say you and I, they can have a 5-minute Zoom meeting with us, okay? Now we recommend that, you know, these are, you maybe emailed us or filled out a form online, that these are your issues, okay? Talk to these issues, and we will take up the balance of the time talking to you after you've told us your issues orally, and we've only got 5 minutes, okay? So get to the point, okay? And let's see whatever subject they want to talk about, okay? And then, it doesn't have to be health, okay? You know, it could be anything at all, and so you and I will listen. And we make it very well known that we're not doctors or specialists or, you know, whatever, okay? You know, we're not electricians, we're not qualified electricians, or, you know, whatever, okay? Talk to us, okay? and then we listen, maybe we respond, and maybe we follow up with something like a video, 5-minute video, not a recording necessarily, but something that once he's left that we do. So, but I think to the point, okay, getting people to really get, because we know what we want to say to people generally, okay, is, shut up and do nothing, And
that's right. And hurry up.
Yes, hurry up so we can do nothing. And we've got to phrase it in such a way. And also we've got to say, stop looking outward, look for God, okay? But we've got to say it in a way that, look within, know, where did you come from, okay? Why are you here? That's it, okay? Now, go away and think about that, okay? Yeah, you're losing your memory, okay? Yeah, you're lucky that's all you lost, okay? Now let's have a look. What's the issue? Okay. Anyway, yeah. So I think there's a business for you and us in that area, not in the hour-long one.
No. But I think that's perfect because like to use your diabetes guy as the example, it's like you're focusing on the end of your finger when you prick it to do your blood test. I mean, well, that's not where your focus is. It's on.
Yeah. And what you focus on, you get. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. We know that. Okay. So focus on God and get God. Okay. Yeah. Focus on health and get health. Don't focus on illness. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Don't reinforce it every day of your life. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's interesting. Very interesting.
So when you do your get set up classes, like, do you ask your participants the why question? Like, so why are you here?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Do you think I'd lose the opportunity? Every one of my classes. So tell me, Rebecca in Washington, why do you want to learn about Instagram? Okay. Yeah. So yes, I do. And even in the middle of a class, you see, like now, one of the classes, as you know, is now how to start planning an authentic business from home. Throw in the word authentic, okay? And then halfway through, not halfway through, every step, there's 6 steps, okay? Now, why are you doing that? Why have you come up with that answer? Okay? And if you don't know, then go back, start again, okay? Yeah. And so, no, I use the why. It's for me a most powerful 3-letter word.
Yeah, exactly. And are you getting a very positive response from the participants? Are they?
Yeah, I am.
Engaging with it? Yeah.
They're all engaging with me. Well, when I say all, that's perhaps not. Let's say, like, let me just look at this morning. Okay, there were 5 people in class this morning, and I was going over, the topic was, which social media app should you choose? And I cover 8, okay?
Yeah.
In the hour, okay? Now, there were 5 people. One arrived, didn't turn the video and didn't turn the microphone on the entire class, okay? So I couldn't see them, didn't know who they were, but they were there. Their presence was there, and they used a username. So the username comes up. It was something stupid, okay?
Yeah.
And then there was another one who came in and also didn't do that, but the proper name was there, and so I kept referring to the name, saying, feel free, turn your mic on, okay? Let's interact, but never did the whole time, you see. And then the 3 others just interacted with me nonstop, okay? They had their videos on, had their mics on, and so one tends to talk to them, and they ask the questions because they are interacting. So a lot of interaction from the 3, okay? 2, none at all, okay? And it was a bit more difficult with a class that I had over 20 people. Then yeah, you got to deal with certain issues. Okay, like the one old dame, you know, I was taught. I think that was Instagram. I had 20 people, over 20 people in the Instagram class, and then the one tended to dominate. Okay,
Yeah.
and not with intelligent questions, but holding her cell phone up and saying, "Mine doesn't look like that you're describing, and I can't find this profile button." And you know, now how do you handle those people? Okay, I've still got to learn. Now I started helping her and through and so on, but then I realized the other people are just listening to something they don't want to listen to. Okay,
Yeah, that's right.
they're not learning anything, and
Yeah,
she's not getting it right. Yeah.
And you're right. You have to be careful of the hijacker, because it just hijacks it.
Yeah.
It
So
ends up as a burning wreck at the end. Yeah.
so I'm learning. I'm on a big learning curve as far as how to handle online classes. Never done it in my life before. Okay. You know, I know how to handle you, and you're not a class. Okay, so so yeah, there is interaction, and I do bring in the why questions, and I do get responses. Not so much on the business one, because I want them to go away. I want to create a little worksheet that I can email them as well. Haven't done that yet. I just wanted to see how the classes would go first, and I've done it twice now, and I got some remarkably good feedback. Okay, so
cool.
yeah. But you know, some of the other feedback in other classes, one person will say it's the best thing since sliced bread that they've listened to and been part of, and the other one will give me 3 out of 5. You know, you didn't do this or something. You know.
Yeah.
And both are correct in their awareness of what they wanted to get out of the class, I guess.
I think that's one of the challenges with feedback in an online environment. It's almost like a love-hate thing. Like if people are giving like a Google rating, it's either 5 stars or 1 star. You know, like you know, it's sort of like, oh, you know, this didn't happen, so 1 star. You know, no soup for you. You know,
yeah, but maybe I also woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and I was pissed off by the time I entered the class, and so I had the same attitude at the end of the class, and I didn't actually listen. It's a 1.
Yeah, and you hear that term that people use with online stuff. You know, well, haters are going to hate. You know, sort of thing. Well,
yeah.
Let's not make assumptions. You know.
Right. I work because my wife at the end of one of my class, she's also doing classes now, and she also did 3 today.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so after each class, we ask each other, you know, how did the class go? Okay. And I always judge, not always judge. I respond depending on how I feel when I stand up from the class and go stretch my legs, how I feel about that class. So I respond in an answer about feeling. Okay, you know, how I'm feeling, because if I'm feeling really, really great, joyful, I enjoyed that class, then for me it was an outstanding class, even if I left out half the content. Okay. Because it's not, with Get Set Up, it's not about the content. Okay, people need to learn, and they have to learn something. I have to get the takeaways, but they want the social interaction. They Get Set Up want you to interact with people and draw as many people into the conversation as possible.
And that makes a lot of sense too when you think about it, doesn't it? Because if someone, well, like those, perhaps, I shouldn't assume, but perhaps like those 2 people who didn't turn on their videos or their mics, and one of them didn't even identify themselves per se, then you want them to feel that it's an inviting environment, and you know that they'd want to come back and try it, and perhaps, you know, take a step closer and turn your video on or turn your mic on or whatever. But if it's just that, you know, oh, I watched it, didn't like it, I'm not coming back, well then, you know, that sort of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah. But you're 100% right. I mean, the one LinkedIn class I did, it was, I think, the second LinkedIn class. I only had 1 book in, and this person came in to the class, and I said, oh, okay, the usual greetings and so on. And I said, so why, you know, the big old famous question, why, you know, why are you interested in LinkedIn? Okay. She said, I have no idea what it is. And I thought I would come and find out what this LinkedIn is, because my children, or my son mentioned LinkedIn. Okay. So I said, okay, well, let me tell you, if you know, it's for business people, professionals, and people looking for jobs. Oh no, I don't want that. Thank you. Goodbye. Out she went from the class.
Wow.
All finished and done within about 4 minutes from this class opening.
Goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting.
I wouldn't take that as anything about you though. I mean, she sounds like
no, I was amused, okay, because she really just wanted to find out. Ideally for her, she should have maybe enrolled in the 8 apps that I do, where she could look at all of them and decide. And I do LinkedIn in that one as well, you see. But I just touch on it. But yeah, each to their own when they're looking for classes or looking for something, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing too, and it's like anything, you know, even as you go through your day, there's always going to be, you know, one day there's going to be someone there who's just going to make your life miserable for whatever reason. You know?
Yes.
And that's just the way it is, you know. Like,
I
think I told you at the Christmas function that, you know, there's people where I'm working at the moment. They the CEO there, he says, you know, everyone's entitled to tell, you know, one customer to go fuck off.
Yeah, right. True. And customers are never always right.
No, not at all, not at all. And for some people, that's the only language they understand, you know. So probably because they hear it so often. So,
anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's been quite a positive discussion, actually. That's good.
Yeah, it has, and I'm certainly going to give some thought this evening. In fact, about you know, the potential possible business that you begin to open in the light of what we've discussed now. You know, maybe when I do some 5-minute, and I've really got to do it. I've got to do it. You see, the class I told you this last time, but I always used to do it like first thing in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
But like now, my class is 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So you know, I can't even. Well, I still sit in bed and have a cup of tea and look at some world news quickly. But I suppose I should meditate. But you know, any crazy people meditate anyway. So I'll get there eventually. But I can do it later in the day, and that's what I need to do. It's just that it gets so damn hot outside. So at the moment, it's just regularly hitting the 40 degrees. So, but I can do it inside, you know. So that's what I must do. I must actually forget the garden now and do it inside.
Well, see if you can find a garden background, you know, and
yes,
a virtual garden, you know.
A virtual garden. Yeah. Oh, there's some beautiful ones. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they are. But yeah, I don't want to lie. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Anything else you want to chat about?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered off on some meaty topics there tonight. So
yeah. I see you managing to get under 15 minutes now. You're getting to the 5 and 6 and 7 minutes with your
Today was 9 minutes. Yes.
Oh,
in fact, when you were talking,
don't creep up now. Don't creep up. It's got.
Well, it's sort of interesting. Like when you were talking about, you know, the 5-minute video, and I thought, oh, didn't we say 10?
Yes, we did. We said under 10. We said under 10.
That's right.
But I know I've got to talk to you about 5 in order to get 10.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
It's-
Well, talk to you on the weekend, you know?
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay. Yeah, the weekends now, of course, are much freer because we don't do classes over the weekend at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so I devote sort of a whole day Saturday to gardening, and especially now that the garden is looking so heat
Heat
stricken.
stressed. Yeah.
Stressed. That's the word. Yeah. Anyway,
Mm.
Don, see you on Sunday.
You will. Okay, then. Take
Okay,
care.
bye.
See you now. Bye.
Bye.